Good day and welcome to the Netease 2021 second quarter earnings conference call. Today's conference is being recorded. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Margaret Shi, IR Director of Netease. Please go ahead.
Thank you, operator. Please note the discussion today will contain forward-looking statements relating to future performance of the company and are intended to qualify for the safe harbor from liability as established by the U.S. Private Securities Litigation Reform Act. Such statements are not guarantees of future performance and are subject to certain risks and uncertainties, assumptions, and other factors. Some of these risks are beyond the company's control and could cause actual results to differ materially from those mentioned in today's press release and this discussion. A general discussion of the risk factor that could affect Netease's business and financial results is included in certain filings of the company with the Securities and Exchange Commission, including its annual report on Form 20-F, and the announcements and filings on the website of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. The company does not undertake any obligation to update this forward-looking information except as required by law. During today's call, management will also discuss certain non-GAAP financial measures for comparison purposes only. For a definition of non-GAAP financial measures and a reconciliation of GAAP to non-GAAP financial results, please see the 2021 second quarter earnings news release issued earlier today. As a reminder, this conference is being recorded. In addition, an investor presentation and a webcast replay of this conference call will be available on the Netease corporate website at ir.netease.com. Joining us today on the call from Netease senior management team is Mr. William Ding, our Chief Executive Officer, and Mr. Charles Yan, our Chief Financial Officer. I will now turn the call over to Charles, who will read the prepared remarks on behalf of William.
Thank you, Margaret, and thank you everyone for participating in today's call. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that all percentages are calculated based on renminbi. Our growth momentum continued in the second quarter with total net revenues of RMB 20.5 billion, representing an increase of 13% year-over-year. For our online games, in the second quarter, total revenue was RMB 14.5 billion, up 5% year-over-year, despite a high comparable base in 2020. Our PC and mobile games remain our dual growth engines for online games. On the PC side, Naraka: Blade Point, our next generation battle royale game, is now one of the hottest games in the market. First launched in China in July, followed by the global launch on August 12th. Naraka: Blade Point quickly became the best weekly seller on Steam, winning the enthusiasm of Chinese and overseas players and marking a new breakthrough for us in the global market. With captivating gameplay and state-of-the-art graphics, Naraka: Blade Point's debut was very well received among hardcore players in Western markets. We will continue this positive trend by introducing more content from different cultures around the world and start to work on other formats of the game, including console game and mobile versions, as we look to tap into these large market opportunities in China and abroad. Our legacy flagship PC titles, particularly FWJ, New Westward Journey Online, and Tianxia, continue to show remarkable longevity with strong year-over-year growth after nearly 2 decades of operations. We have created a strong and sophisticated social community within each game, and we continue to keep our users engaged with regular introductions of high-quality expansion packs. This type of longevity has also been extended to the mobile side. Fantasy Westward Journey mobile game, Westward Journey Online mobile game, and their spin-offs continue to demonstrate strong performances during the second quarter. Touching on some highlights from a few other mobile games this quarter, Life After remains an iconic title holding strong appeal with young users. we introduced a major annual expansion pack, The Revenant, in August, offering players a new category of characters, new maps, and more gameplay options. These innovations allow our gamers to explore the Doomsday world in an unprecedented and exciting way, bringing Life After back to the top of China's iOS download chart. Onmyoji Arena, our mobile game based on our proprietary Onmyoji IP, has progressively built strong appeal among the young generation of players. Leveraging our strength in art design, Onmyoji Arena has impressed users with its widely acclaimed skin art across various themes, including Chinese traditional culture, cyberpunk, and Japanese anime. Some of the skin designs have even become high trending topics, bringing us a continuous stream of new players. Onmyoji, the original flagship game, is another NetEase game that continues to shine and frequently leads China's iOS top grossing chart. During the second quarter, we rolled out a new version that greatly enriched the Onmyoji world. The update features a fascinating new storyline and two popular new characters that thrilled our player community, again fortifying Onmyoji's standing as a top AGC-themed game in China. During the second quarter and more recently, we have also expanded our offerings in new genres as we continue to diversify our game portfolio. We launched Esg Report in July, our very first self-developed racing game. Leveraging our industry-leading art and graphic capabilities, Esg Report features track designs based on real urban landscapes of Chinese cities, such as Hangzhou and Chongqing. Shortly after its release, Esg Report topped the iOS download chart and reached the top 10 on China's iOS grossing chart. 2 weeks ago, Infinite Lagrange, our space-themed SLG game, made a strong debut in China, climbing up into a top 30 title on the iOS grossing chart in less than a week. As a new game of this genre we introduced to the Chinese market after Invincible, we hope Infinite Lagrange will also earn the respect from acclaimed players and a good share of SLG market through its content innovation. Other new games that we recently launched in China include Pokemon Quest, Marvel Super War. These games further enrich our dynamic domestic game portfolio genres, and many of them quickly reached the top of the iOS download chart following their releases. Moving to overseas markets, we are very excited to see our games keep reaching new milestones outside of China. Over 3 years ago, Knives Out made its name in Japan and became one of the highest grossing games ever made by a Chinese game developer to go overseas. Knives Out has held its leading position and continues to take its place in the upper echelons of Japan's iOS top grossing chart, particularly when following various collaborations with well-known local Japanese IPs such as EVA and One Punch. Today, Naraka: Bladepoint has emerged as our next breakthrough on the international stage, which further boosts our global expansion efforts by opening the door to mainstream Western markets. On Steam alone, Naraka: Bladepoint has achieved the milestone of 100,000 peak concurrent users, and the number will be even higher when we include players who play the game on our official channels. As one of our global initiatives, Naraka: Bladepoint starts off with Chinese martial art culture and then substantially broadens its concept to Eastern fantasy by introducing universal elements more familiar to Western players, such as new characters like Persian warriors and new weapons such as muskets and cannons. These elaborate designs have greatly helped build strong mindshare amongst hardcore player communities in the Western market. Furthermore, for Harry Potter Magic Awakens, one of the market's most anticipated titles, we closed the final round of beta testing in June with very encouraging user feedback. It is now set for launch on September the 9th across Chinese mainland, Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, and will be successively launched to various other regions globally. We look forward to seeing eager global players become Hogwarts freshmen, meet diversified wizard partners, learn spells, gain magic knowledge, and experience the amazing life of wizardry. The Lord of the Rings: Rise to War is another exciting title coming soon. Pre-registration for this game has been available since August the 25th. With engaging and thought-provoking gameplay, as well as a strong appeal of the Lord of the Rings IP, we see great potential for this release and look forward to impressing players with its global launch, which is now confirmed to be on September the 23rd. For Diablo Immortal, in July, we had our first beta testing in China, and we are very excited with the strong feedback from the user community. We will keep working to bring our worldwide players engaging game experiences. The list goes on. We have a handful of other exciting titles in our pipeline as well. A few other pre-announced names include Nightmare Breaker, a PC game, and Ghost World Chronicle. Our mission to create world-class games for players has never wavered. We are relentlessly scaling new heights in terms of game development technology. Our game engine is one of the key assets within our R&D infrastructure. Recently, we've made a significant step forward with one of our flagship game engines, Messiah, in which we are proud to have implemented the world's first high-quality, real-time global illumination algorithm on mobile devices. This is a major breakthrough with our in-house engine technology, helping us to greatly speed up the pace of our artistic development and bringing world-class visual effects into our games. Turning to Youdao, our net revenues in the second quarter were RMB 1.3 billion, representing a 108% growth year-over-year. As an intelligent learning company, Youdao is and has always been committed to enhancing its competitiveness for the young generations through advanced technology. In line with evolving national guidelines, our aim is to explore new strategic opportunities in non-academic businesses such as STEAM courses, adult learning, and smart learning hardware devices. In the second quarter, we further expanded our STEAM course offerings. For example, net revenues from Youdao Go, Youdao Weiqi, increased by nearly 180% quarter-over-quarter, and we launched more advanced level courses to further meet our users' growing learning needs. Back in March, with an eye towards the growth opportunities in adult education sector, we established a dedicated division on adult education by integrating our Youdao premium courses for adults, China University MOOC, and Netease Cloud Classroom. In terms of premium courses for adults, its net revenues accounted for around 22% of total net revenues in the second quarter. Meanwhile, we launched an upgraded version of our practical English course to provide adult users with more immersive and effective learning experiences. In addition, 137 courses on the China University MOOC platform have been certified by the Ministry of Education as recommended courses for academic studies and continued career development. Learning devices remain another major revenue source for Youdao, with a mission to improve learning efficiency. This segment generated net revenues of RMB 206 million in the second quarter, increasing 139% year-over-year. We also introduced a new version of our dictionary pen, Youdao Dictionary Pen K3, designed to be more friendly to elementary school and pre-K kids, more affordable and supportive of learning arithmetic in addition to English and Chinese. With that said, we expect Youdao to be somewhat less affected by the recent regulations, as it has other high-growth businesses in addition to existing K-12 academic after-school tutoring classes, whose revenues accounted for around 41% of Youdao's total revenue in the second quarter. Looking ahead, Youdao will continue to strictly comply with national guidelines, and we are confident in Youdao's future development, as Youdao has one of the most talented R&D and teaching skill sets in the industry. Looking at our cloud music business, we have successfully maintained our user growth momentum over the past quarters, despite an industry-wide slowdown. While DAU over MAU ratio remained above 30% in the second quarter, owing to our advanced social networking functions and promotions like 88 VIP program in the second quarter, our membership paying ratio almost doubled year-over-year. In terms of margin, we continue to see improvement with our cloud music business as it increases its scale. In the past quarter, Netease Cloud Music achieved positive gross margin for the first time ever, marking a new milestone with our music operations. We believe that our ongoing top-line growth in this segment will position us to continue driving margin expansion over time. We keep our users engaged through constant innovation and product improvement. Earlier this year, we gave our prize-winning function, Listen Together, another new touch, allowing users to listen to music together, not only with friends, but also with other users, providing additional social networking opportunities. Furthermore, our newly launched function, Playlist Sharing, 共享歌单, has been very well received by our users, allowing multiple users to co-create and manage playlists at the same time. On the content side, we are pleased to see the changes that the music industry is currently undergoing, which pave the way for strong and sustainable growth over the long term. We hope to work together with other industry players to ensure quality music is accessible to a wider audience at a more reasonable cost, which will ultimately benefit music lovers and the industry as a whole. Now turning to Yanxuan. As our private label consumer brand, we continue to focus on building Yanxuan's brand equity. Primarily, we are introducing highly popular products with proprietary award-winning product designs and strictly controlled product quality. In April, Yanxuan Healthcare Series and Mooncake Gift Box won the German IF Design Award 2021. Working with major channels including Taobao, Tmall, and JD, our recognition from the broader public is actively growing. During the June 18 promotion period, Yanxuan topped JD's household daily sales list, and our cat food category recorded the highest domestic cat food sales on both Tmall and JD for the first day of the June 18 promotion. In June of this year, we published our 2020 Esg Report, outlining our Esg policy, achievements, and improvements we made throughout the year. We started our ESG effort as early as 2018 and issued our first Esg report last year. As a company deeply committed with social responsibilities, we will be keeping our efforts to being a responsible public company, and we will continue to pursue the ESG initiatives and will forge ahead with our strengths to create greater value for our stakeholders and the community at large. Finally, during the quarter, we celebrated our 24th anniversary. As we review our past and look toward our future, we know innovation is key. Innovation has been at the heart of our journey and will continue to be the driver for our future growth. It empowers us to create amazing products and services that are adored by hundreds of millions of people. As we move forward, we will be dedicating even more time and resources to identifying and training talent and fostering innovation that creates a more promising and exciting future in each of the verticals we operate. This concludes William's comments. I will now provide a very brief review of our second quarter 2021 financial results. Given the limited time of today's call, I will be presenting some abbreviated financial highlights. We encourage you to read through our press release issued earlier today for further details. Total net revenues for the second quarter were RMB 20.5 billion, or USD 3.2 billion, representing a 13% increase year-over-year. Our net revenue from online game services were RMB 14.5 billion, up 5% year-over-year, despite of last year's high base benchmark. The year-over-year increase was primarily due to newly launched games, Revelation mobile game, and existing games such as Fantasy Westward Journey Online. Net revenues from our mobile games accounted for roughly 72% of total revenue, and overseas revenue accounted for roughly 10% of total revenue in the second quarter. Youdao's net revenues reached RMB 1.3 billion, up 108% year-over-year, driven by fast growth of both Youdao online courses and the sale of intelligent learning devices. Net revenues from innovative businesses and others were RMB 4.7 billion for the second quarter, up 26% year-over-year, mainly due to the increased contribution from Netease Cloud Music. For Cloud Music, both membership and live streaming revenues maintained solid growth momentum, driven by robust paying user expansion. Overall total gross profit margin was 54.5%, with a breakdown as follows. Gross profit margin for game services was 66.1%. As a reminder, this number is generally stable, with some narrow fluctuations based on the revenue mix of PC versus mobile games, as well as self-developed and licensed games. Gross margin for Youdao was 52.3%, compared with 45.2% in the same period of last year. The significant year-over-year growth was mainly attributable to the improved learning services gross margin, which was due to improved economies of scale and continuous optimization of its faculty compensation structure. Substantial sales growth of smart learning hardware such as Youdao Dictionary Pen 3.0 also contributed to these gains, as this line carries a higher GP margin than other product lines. Gross profit margin for innovative businesses and others was 19.3%, compared with 18.5% last year. The improvement was mostly driven by Netease Cloud Music, as its gross margin turned positive for the first time during the quarter. For the second quarter, total operating expenses were RMB 7.4 billion, or 36% of our total net revenue. Our selling and marketing expenses as a percentage of net revenue were 14.7%. If we exclude Youdao, our selling and marketing expenses as a percentage of net revenue were 10.6%, compared with 10.7% in the second quarter of last year. R&D expenses were RMB 3.4 billion, largely stable from the previous quarter. We remain committed to investing in content creation and product development, which is core to our revenue growth. As a percentage of net revenue, R&D expenses accounted for 16.6%, compared with 14.9% in the previous quarter. The effective tax rate was 24.3% for the second quarter. As a reminder, the effective tax rate is presented on an accrual basis, and the tax credits differ from each of our entities at different time periods, depending on applicable policies and our operations. Non-GAAP net income attributable to our shareholders for the second quarter totaled RMB 4.2 billion, or $655 million. Our non-GAAP basic earnings per ADS were $0.89, or 0.20 per share. Our cash position remains strong. As of June 30th, our total cash and cash equivalents, current and non-current time deposits, and short-term investment balance totaled RMB 1.8 billion, compared with RMB 100 billion as of the end of last year. In accordance with our dividend policy, we are very pleased to report that our board of directors has approved a dividend of $0.048 per share, or $0.24 per ADS. Lastly, under the share repurchase program approved by our board on February 25th, approximately 4.6 million ADS had been repurchased as of June 30th for a total cost of approximately $0.5 billion US. Today, our board announced the approval of an amendment to further increase the total authorized repurchase cap amount from the previously approved $2 billion to a new cap amount of $3 billion US. Additionally, our board has also approved a share purchase program of up to $50 million of Youdao's outstanding ADS for a period not to exceed 36 months, beginning on the 2nd of September. Thank you for your attention. We would like now to open the call to your questions. Operator, please go to Q&A.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to ask a question, please signal by pressing star 1 on your telephone keypad. If you're using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. Again, press star 1 to ask a question. And for the benefit of all participants on today's call, if you wish to ask your question to management in Chinese, please immediately repeat your question in English. Please limit your questions to 1 at a time. If you wish to have follow-up questions, please rejoin the queue. And we will now take the first question from Alex Yao from JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
谢谢丁总 Charles 我想问一个关于监管的问题丁总您能不能给我们介绍一下咱们对于青少年反沉迷的一些相关的措施然后应该怎么看待最近这个新的政策出台就是青少年周一到周四不能再玩游戏了，只能是周五到周日每天的晚上8点到9点玩1个小时，这样的一个新的政策环境对我们的业务和游戏收入会有什么样的影响？能帮我们解答一下吗？谢谢我自己翻译一下。Thank you management for taking my question. I have a question on teenager in-game indulgence and the new policy introduction. Can you share with us your policies on teenager in-game indulgence protection? And also, how should we think about the impact from the recently introduced new policy that minors cannot play game during the weekend? They can only play game at a specific time, i.e. 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. from Friday to Sunday. How should we think about the financial and the operational impact to your gaming business? Thank you.
好，昨天各位可能通过新闻也看到了，国家新闻出版总署对于这个未成年人防游戏沉迷的决定。这个决定的主要内容就是一个星期只能有3个小时的时间让未成年人玩游戏，而且时间是主要安排在星期五、星期六、星期天以及法定节假日的晚上的8点到9点这个时段。网易作为一个中国主要的游戏开发商，我们积极拥护和支持这一项决定，严格落实这一项决定。的确在过去的一段时间里面，我们发现有些游戏让未成年人沉迷于其中，影响学业和身体健康。我想这个最严格的限制未成年人玩游戏的决定出来以后，会让这个未成年人最大程度的远离对游戏的这个依赖。我们也期望整个行业里面所有的公司能够积极的落实这项决定，让中国的未成年人在一个更加健康的环境下这个成长。所以我们觉得这个是一个非常好的措施。那至于从收入来说对我们的影响，我也想今天通过这个会议告诉大家，目前我们测算到的数据是1%不到的财务影响。财务影响。
Yes, I'm sure many of you have read on news about the new anti-addiction protection measures that the government has issued on the teenagers, underage kids. That there are some very stringent requirements, such as only 3 hours a week is allowed to play on games. As one of the largest gaming companies in China, we're in full support of this decision. Over the past years, we have noticed there are certain games around the industry that has had a negative impact on children. So we think that the new requirements, the new regulations will keep teenagers away from, keep the teenagers away from games for as far as possible. So we want companies in this industry together to support this regulation and requirement. And also financially, we would like to share with you that less than 1% of our revenue actually come from underage children. Thank you.
Yeah, Alex, just to clarify, when we say less than 1%, we are defining minors as aged below 18. Different companies might have disclosed different data, but according to China law, minors, 未成年人 definition is for people below the age of 18. For that category of population, it accounts for less than 1% of our total games gross billion financial implication.
Thank you, Alex.
And we will now take our next question from Kenneth Fong from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
丁总Charles Margaret 你们好，谢谢接受我的提问。我有2个问题啊，第一个就是也是 follow up 一下 Alex 刚刚问的问题。在新的政策以下，未成年人接触游戏现在的机会小了。短期来讲，我也同意的，对我们的 financial 的影响会比较小。 但是在中线来讲的话，对我们培育新的玩家会不会有影响呢？我们对这个方面有什么应对的措施呢？第二个问题就是关于音乐方面的，现在音乐的版权垄断都没有了，对我们网易云音乐方面对版权投入的方向跟力度，我们有什么想法呢？我积极翻译一下。Thank you for taking my question. I have two questions. One is the new regulation for online game will significantly limit the exposure for the underage, while the short-term financial impact will be limited. How should we think about player cultivation going forward, and will it limit the longer-term or medium-term potential for game growth? The second question is, with no more exclusivity for the music copyright, how should we think about our direction, pace, as well as the investment in the music copyright and content going forward? Thank you.
我想这个未成年人的健康成长是一个国家最重要的一个未来利益。我觉得作为一家公司来说，我们要着眼于大处着想。我们有能力这个做出更加精品的寓教于乐的游戏，不只是说在中国，能够在全球范围内都取得成功。我简单的说，我们不会去打未成年人游戏的这个主意的。第二个就是我们也看到腾讯音乐放弃了音乐独家版权的公告，我们非常期待这是一个真心实意的不含任何阳奉阴违的决定。在这里我们也呼吁唱片公司以开放公平共同创造行业健康发展的理念开放授权。我们愿意以最大的诚意，我们也有足够的资金和各个唱片公司展开广泛的授权合作，共同来建设中国的音乐市场。
Yes, to answer your first question, we think that the healthy, wholesome growth of our children is a top priority for the nation, for the government. And as a company, we need to think about our social responsibility. We need to think long term and for the greatness of the society. So we are interested in making positive, high quality games that appeals to adults and appeal to audience around the globe. We are not as interested in making profit through minors. And to answer your second question, as you might have just noticed that TME have just announced made announcement about relinquishing their exclusivity, and we certainly hope that is a sincere announcement from TME. It's not a decision. They're not going to be saying one thing and doing another. Here we want to appeal, take the opportunity to appeal to the label companies and every stakeholder and partners in the industry to co-create a wholesome, balanced music industry. And Netease, with utmost sincerity and sufficient funding, we want to work together with everyone in this industry.
对，我这个再加回去，我们非常感谢国家市场监管部门做出的反垄断的处罚决定，给整个行业释放出一个非常明确、积极和振奋人心的信号。广大用户和相关的从业公司充满了期待。
I would also like to add that we are very thankful for the right decision that the regulatory bodies have made relating to the antitrust regulations and policies. The antitrust policy sends a very clear and positive and a very exciting signal to the entire industry, which is widely anticipated and warmly welcomed by users. Thank you.
谢谢。
Thank you, Kenneth. Next question.
And we will now take the next question from Alex Poon from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
丁总Charles Margaret 晚上好，谢谢接受我的提问。公司非常好的业绩和下半年一个游戏的布局。我想问一下，我们现在手上有很多重磅的游戏，包括永劫无间、哈利波特、指环王，这个超级斗梦境，我们应该怎么想下半年可能特别从四季度开始，这个游戏收入的增长，我们应该怎么想这几个重磅游戏的一个贡献？I translate myself. My question is related to the strong game pipeline in the second half, including Lord of the Rings, Naraka, Blade Point, Harry Potter, and Nightmare Breaker, etc. All of these games are very strong titles. How should we think about the game revenue growth and the contribution from these games, especially starting in fourth quarter? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. I'll answer your question directly in English. As you may know, Naraka Blade Point was already launched in the summer, and we have made another major breakthrough on Steam platform. This is not only a new genre game, but also a new achievement. I think very excited to witness. Next month is going to be busy. Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and a few other games are all set to launch in September, with a few others in the later half of this year. The one thing though I want to reiterate is that here at NetEase, we always emphasize on the quality of the games, the longevity of the games, and the user appreciation and receptivity of these games. We are not so much interested in the financial ups and downs in one particular quarter or two, but rather we are very confident that our relentless effort in launching these new games will continue to diversify our game genre offerings, continue to advance our global expansion initiatives, as well as gaining more market share across different categories of the games. And to echo what William commented earlier on, we really think the open secret of winning the heart of the gamers is through the quality and the content, rather than any other tricks or measures. So Alex, hopefully that answers your question.
谢谢 Charles. Thank you.
And we will now take the next question from Natalie Wu from Haitong International. Please go ahead.
好，晚上好，谢谢管理层接受我的提问啊。那我就想问一下《永劫无间》这款游戏，那这款游戏的表现非常不错就想了解一下咱们对这款游戏有几个小问题。就第一的话是在这个收入模式上头咱们现在是买断通行证和开箱子，那不知道这个就是未来对于收入贡献方面的话，这个是不是会后面两者会对就跟其他的游戏买断这个游戏不是特别一样的地方在于后面两者可能会对咱们的收入会有更大的一个贡献以及咱们对这款游戏的一个生命周期怎么看另外呢就是未来是不是会有更多的其他种类的从永劫无间里的 IP 衍生出来的游戏在未来我们可以期待的。那最后呢永劫无间的这么一个成功会不会对我们以后的公司发展的一个战略重心以及投入的方面有所变化我简单的翻译一下thanks Ms. Ding, Charles and Margaret for taking my question and congratulations on another solid quarter. So my question is regarding the game Naraka. So just wondering what's management's expectation for the game regarding the revenue model, what kind of the revenue will come from what percentage of the revenue will come from the copy-based and item-based revenue model. And also, how should we see the longevity of this game? And will there be more derivative versions of other genre of Naraka coming out in the future? And also, will this success have any potential shifts of our strategic focus and investment in the future? Thank you.
我来回答一下这个问题吧。第一个问题是，就是说关于这个游戏的收费模式。那么目前的话，我们是买断制结合游戏类的无属性道具的类购这样的一个方式。目前的话，其实这个方式也并非我们独创，我们也看到之前有不少知名游戏运用这个方式，其实取得了非常不错的一个成绩。在我们目前来说的话，我们也是看到我们内购，由于我们内购的这样的道具制作非常的精良，玩家非常喜爱，实际上它对于我们的这个就是收益的贡献是目前是高于我们的买断的这样的一个权益的贡献的，所以我们也非常看好它后续的一个发展，我们会在这方面做更多的玩家需求的这样的一个内购道具。第二个问题是关于这款游戏的生命周期，我想它是一个非常新鲜的一个品类，那么我们对此也做了比较充分的一个对未来的规划，包括通过赛事，通过自定义的一些就是玩家的比赛，还有通过新的英雄、新的武器不断的去扩张它的内容，让玩家始终能够体验到新的东西，所以我对它的生命周期也是充满信心。那么未来的发展的话，首先是我们会针对多平台推出不同的版本，我们力争在圣诞节前后，比如说推出我们的主机版本之后的话，我们也在紧锣密鼓的做我们的mobile 上面的版本。那么同时的话，我们在海内外持续的运营它，然后开展各种不同的赛事，然后让这款游戏持续在玩家社区中产生新的热度和话题这是对未来的一个规划。
Thank you. Thank you, Natalie. The answer comes from Zhipeng. Yes, for the game, right now we adopt a mix of copy-based sales and also in-game purchase. As of today, the in-game items that we created have been very attractive to our players, which have caused a very encouraging sale of in-game items. So today, our in-game purchases actually contribute more than the copy-based sales. Going forward, we'll continue to create more in-game items and functions that appeals to our worldwide users. In terms of longevity, we have a long-term plan for this game. Today we actually host we have arranged a number of very exciting esports campaigns in China and abroad. We will continue to introduce and launch new characters, new gameplays to keep the content interesting to our users. So we are very confident with the longevity of this game. In terms of the strategy going on to different formats of entertainment, well, we're actually going to launch this game on consoles around Christmas time, and we also have a team working on the mobile version of this game. And at the same time, we host esports campaigns around the world to keep creating viral to keep the interest high around the game, and that we keep creating viral discussions of the game. So we have a very holistic plan for Naraka Blade Point. Thank you.
And Natalie, to your last part of the question, whether there is any inspiration for our overall game strategy, I think with the breakthrough achieved by Naraka Blade Point, it gives us extra confidence in terms of diversification, not only in game genres, but also in different distribution platforms. For instance, Naraka Blade Point is a very successful game that has tapped into the global, particularly the Western gamer community via Steam platform. I think that gives us more experience and know-how of developing and publishing future games, especially towards the global market. Okay, operator, next question, please.
Thank you. We will now take our next question from Thomas Chong from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
晚上好，谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我第一个问题呢是想先问一下呢，就是我们很快就会出Harry Potter，想请管理层呢可不可以分享一下呢？我们对这款游戏呢，在国内跟国外呢，我们会有什么的期盼呢？就是从这个 KPI 的角度来说，这款游戏会在国内还是国外呢会做得更成功？另外的话呢，是关于最近的监管的环境的，就是看到了那个饭圈还有直播会加强监管。想问一下呢，最近这个政策的收紧呢，会对我们粉丝或者是对音乐方面的影响？另外的话呢，也是想看一下呢，对我们音乐的直播那边的影响呢，可不可以分享一下呢？Thanks management for taking my questions. My first question is about Harry Potter. Given the game is going to be launched worldwide, just want to get a sense about our expectation for this game in the domestic market versus the overseas market. Any color about our marketing strategies, the way that we attract users, any strategy can be shared would be grateful. And then my second question is about the recent regulatory environments. Given the government is having a stringent measure about the fandom culture in China and more regulations on the live streaming these days, just want to get a sense about how the fandom culture would affect our music business and also our live streaming outlook. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. I will answer your first question on Harry Potter directly in English, and William will comment on your second question. For Harry Potter, it is set to launch in Greater China area on the 9th of September, which is about 9 days from now, highly anticipated. Given the strong popularity and global appealingness of the Harry Potter IP, we are very confident that this high quality game will be a huge success both domestically and in the international market. With this game launch, we are hopeful that it can further reinforce the NetEase game brand image amongst the global gamer community. That's the answer to your first question.
对，第二个事情就你提到的国家对于饭圈这个清老行动等方面的整顿和处理，我们是抱着非常积极和支持的态度这个对我们的音乐来说影响不大。网易云音乐我们更加关注的是如何去繁荣和发展中国的原创音乐，我们会重点去帮助和扶持中国的音乐人，所以这些都是有能力的草根的音乐人所以这个跟饭圈的这些事情关系性不大。
So we are actually in support of the recent regulations on the entertainment industry. For Netease Cloud Music, we think the impact for us is somewhat minimal because for us the priority, the strategic goal is about creating original music. So our focus is about helping independent musicians to create music, and those are talented individuals in China. Thank you.
谢谢。
Okay, operator, next question, please. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you. We will now take the next question from Eddie Leung from Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Please go ahead.
你好，管理团队晚上好。两个问题，第一个是关于一个税率的一个问题。我们都知道互联网的行业，最近有一些公司都拿不到那个重点软件公司的那个10% 的那个税率，所以想问一问，这个对我们未来的一个税率有没有一个影响？另外一个是关于海外游戏行业的我们的一个发展，想问一问呢，管理团队有没有这个计划在海外多加一些开发的一个团队，然后大概那个时间表如果有的话，大概是怎么样？We have two questions. The first one is on the tax rate. We understand that certain internet companies couldn't get the approval to enjoy a preferential tax rate of key software subsidiaries recently. So just I wonder if NetEase would see any impact to the tax rate. And then secondly, regarding the overseas game markets, should we expect NetEase to set up more overseas studios? And if so, any more color on the future plan? Thank you. 谢谢。
Okay, thank you, Eddie. Well, in the interest of time, let me answer your two questions directly in English. Firstly, on the tax rate, this is in fact not a new development. In our 20F issued earlier this year, we have already disclosed that there will be certain tax policy changes as announced by the Tax Bureau earlier this year. Certain industries, including e-commerce, games, etc., are no longer eligible for the key software qualification. As a result, we can no longer enjoy the 10% preferential tax rate. However, specifically for NetEase, for game businesses, we are still entitled to the high tech qualification, which grants us a 15% preferential tax rate. Net, we believe these tax rate changes will have, roughly speaking, about 3% implication to us. So 2020, our overall effective tax rate is around 19%. I think this year, for 2021, a full year level, our tax rate will be somewhere in the low 20s neighborhood. Secondly, for our overseas game expansion, we've previously announced our ambition to achieve at least 30% of our game gross billing contributed from the overseas market in 3 to 5 years' time. We are very well on track to achieve that. Narrative Blade Point is another big exciting achievement that we have achieved this year. For the overseas market, we are now very proactively setting up overseas studios in Canada, in Japan, and in Europe. The format of our collaboration, or rather the format or strategies for us to tap into the international market, can be very diversified. Doesn't necessarily require us to set up our own standalone studios. We are also very active in collaborating with the world-class developers around the world, supplementing each other's strengths, in some cases jointly develop or co-develop hit games that's targeting for the global gamer community. So I think NetEase remains very open-minded, very practical, and very, very active in this regard.
Thank you.
Okay, operator. Thank you, Eddie. Operator, in the interest of time, let us conclude the call today. Thank you all very much.
Yes,
thank you.
Well, thank you once again. Yeah, maybe I'll just finish with the concluding mark. Thank you once again for joining us today. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact us directly or TPG Investor Relations. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's call. Thank you for your participation. You may now disconnect.